My calls are all problem calls.
I go through waves.
Justin has stories. All right, we're going to get started.
You're doing odds, I'm evens?
Yes,
Sure.
we'll do that.
Cool.
Okay, sounds good. All right, welcome to the HomeLord Podcast. Today we are talking to the legendary Nick Strong. As always, I'm going to read a quick intro, go over some blitz questions, and then we'll dive deeper into your story.
Sweet.
So Nick Strong is a licensed real estate agent, full-time investor, and hard money lender in Utah. He purchased his first home in 2015 and now has a portfolio consisting of 12 properties. Nick values creating meaningful connections and spending time with his wife and kids at their cabin near Yellowstone. I didn't know you had a cabin in Yellowstone.
Yes, Island Park. It's awesome.
That place is awesome.
It is awesome. We love it up there.
Okay, awesome. I look forward to going. Just kidding. Okay, so these questions, just keep them short and sweet. Nothing too crazy.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy here. So first question is how much money have you made from real estate so far since 2015?
Since in real estate or in, well,
Everything combined.
over $1 million.
Good.
100%.
Okay.
Probably pushing $2 million. And that's equity, commissions, everything. It's probably north of there.
And just to clarify here, your 12 units, is that 12 buildings? I believe you have a sixplex, right?
Yeah, 5-plex. But
Fiveplex.
yes. Yeah, so that's 12 units, 12 doors.
Okay, 12 doors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yes.
So I know we were talking about it before, but what is what's Fieldstone's ADU plan all about?
Yeah, so Fieldstone is really the leader in affordable housing, right? And so that's where the concept came from. And as far as our plan, in all of our communities across the state, so from North Ogden all the way down to St. George, from Eagle Mountain to Heber, we will put in legal ADUs in any of our single family homes.
I liked how you emphasized legal.
Legal, yes, they're legal single ADUs.
And by ADUs, we're talking about basement rentals or detached ADUs?
Attached ADUs, so basement rentals, or in St. George, they're like casitas. A lot of people refer to them as casitas. So they're attached, but they're on the main floor.
Okay.
So typically, like located behind the third car garage is a perfect place for a attached ADU on the main floor.
Okay. Now, ADU is bringing in some type of rental income, and I know this will vary by city, but historically, what have home buyers seen for Fieldstone single-family homes that have these casitas or basement ADUs?
As far as rents,
Rental income.
yeah. So I can speak extremely competently to Eagle Mountain. So Eagle Mountain, anywhere from $1,350 on the low end to $1,950 on the high end for a basement rental, which is pretty remarkable to get $1,950 for a 2-bedroom ADU out in city center, Eagle Mountain. So, and that's what we've seen across the board. Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, Eagle Mountain, those are the ranges we're getting.
Okay. And these basement ADUs, are they typically 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom?
It's either a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, or a 3-bedroom. And so you kind of have options because the way Fieldstone has set them up, some of them are 1 or 2-bedroom units, but then the other portion of the basement is separate for the owner. But if they wanted to expand, they could. It's just separated by a door. And so they could actually turn it into a 3-bedroom unit.
Gotcha. No, that's awesome. And it sounds like a really cool product. I mean, obviously, we're all about bringing the home affordability into everything. So with that being Fieldstone's product, what kind of advice would you give somebody who's trying to buy a Fieldstone ADU for 2025? Like, what kind of pointers would you give them? What should they be on the lookout for?
That's a great question. So I think it's all about you can't time the market, but if you can get in as quickly as possible, like I think that's one of the best things is, hey, you're taking something that you normally wouldn't be able to do. So you kind of have to understand you're taking something you wouldn't normally be able to do, and you're doing it. You can afford the mortgage because you have the ADU, because you're supplementing your the income is supplemental, and so you're reducing your mortgage costs. So I think the biggest tip for people is just come out and check it out. See if it works for you. I think it used to be where basement rentals are like, man, I don't want to have a tenant down there. I don't want to not know the person. A lot of those things can be overcome really, really easily. A lot of people enjoy like the tenant beneath them. And you get to keep a portion of the basement. So I think the biggest piece of advice is come out, get with your real estate agent, come out to the model home and just check it out.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of just sounds like Fieldstone and all kind of more so ADUs in general. They're definitely changing from what they once were.
Yes.
And it's like a whole new product now.
That's right.
And like you said, it's not like you're rubbing shoulders with a basement tenant that you don't know and it's all awkward. You tend to have fully separate spaces, and it just sounds like it's a better product. Is that right?
Totally. And I think to your point, years ago, it was like, oh man, there's 8-foot, 7-foot basements. All of our ADUs are 9-foot basements. So they do bring in light. They bring in they're very tall ceilings. It's an enclosed entrance. So as you're going down the stairs, it's enclosed. It's totally enclosed. And so some of those things have made it a lot nicer, where you feel like you're living in just a regular single family home.
Right, because I know I've done some flips that are down in like Salt Lake, Salt Lake. And you go in the basement, and they're like, "Oh, we have a full ADU." And I'm like, "Yes, you do, but like you have to walk like this."
Yes, yeah, exactly. The ductwork,
so damn low. So,
that's right.
But yeah, it's very different product, and I feel like it's easier to now succeed than it ever has been.
Yeah, that's right.
And I just want to call it too, a lot of basement rentals, people don't realize that having a separate entrance is one thing, but having a covered separate entrance is a big deal.
Yes.
And it's a huge perk as a homeowner to have a space in the basement for yourself, just in case you want more storage or a playroom, whatever it may be. A lot of homes don't actually offer that when they have a basement ADU.
That's right.
That's cool.
Super unique to Fieldstone.
And then I know, so right now it is May of 2025. Is Fieldstone offering any incentives right now that people should be aware of?
Yes. So we're offering a free finished basement credit. And so if you do the ADU basement, there's a lot of adjustments that are made. And so we'll give you a credit, depending on the floor plan, we'll give you the credit so that you can get into an ADU for as low as $37,000. Okay. And so you have a free finished basement credit that goes towards the ADU basement. That's our biggest incentive right now, which is actually, it's huge. I mean, to have a free finished basement or a credit towards an ADU basement, that's a huge incentive right now.
Yeah, and we work with a lot of people who house hack that have to pay like $15,000 just to do the walkout.
Yeah,
alone.
Yeah, like 10 to 15 just for the concrete work and to cut a door from one of the windows. Mm-hmm. Like it can get super expensive to do it by third party.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good for you guys. Okay, let's switch from Fieldstone to more of your personal property. So one house hacking strategy that we recommend for some people based on their situation is multifamily. It could be fourplex, duplex, triplex. In your case, it was 5plex. So tell us a little more about that deal and your experience with it.
Yeah, so the 5plex, transparently, is a little bit harder to house hack because it's a commercial loan. Mm-hmm. But I also have a 4plex. And so if you moved into one of the units, then rent out the other 3, that's great. My 5plex specifically, I had to put 25% down, which was a huge chunk of change. Mm. And so that one's a little bit trickier on the house hacking side because it's not it's above 4 units.
Let's do the 4plex then. So run us through some of the numbers there if you were to live in one and then rent out the others, if it makes financial sense.
Yeah. So on the 4plex, that 4plex cost $625,000. I think at the time. So $625, it's probably worth $750 now. The rents on that thing when I got it were like $500. It was so cheap. They were super like undervalued. We went in and pushed all of the rents up to about $1,000. So we doubled the rents basically overnight.
Did you fix up the 4plex?
We didn't fix it up at all.
Wow.
And it was new. I mean, newer. It's 2007 vintage, something like that. And so,
I mean, in 4plex world, in my opinion, that's super new.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. It's not like a Provo, like super old. 2007. So we didn't really have to do a lot of changes, just some cosmetic stuff, fix screens, and then we just increased the rents. We only had maybe one person move out, and the other 3 tenants stayed in there. And one of the tenants is still there today. We bought that place maybe 6 years ago. And so we've done pretty well on it. That one's been awesome. And so as far as the rents, I mean, if someone were to house hack that, they could essentially live for free and rent out the other 4. Because the mortgage on it, the mortgage is $3,000 because the interest rate's like 5%, 4%. And so you'd still be making plenty of money, living for free and renting the rest of the units out.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So was the fourplex your first house hack?
My first house hack was actually a townhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a townhouse in Lehigh. I bought it for $239, and we thought it was super expensive. We were just like, man, we're gonna go bankrupt buying this place. And we lived in it for a few years, and then we left and rented it out. And it's the same tenant that's been there for
No
all these
way.
years.
That's
yeah.
Oh my
awesome.
God.
So when we get tenants, honestly, they're pretty good to stay in the units, and we treat them well. And we treat them well. We provide really good value to them, and so they want to stay in our units. We're really, really meticulous on upkeep, maintenance, and making sure. Like even just this week, we said, "Hey, what can we do for spring cleaning? We'll get everyone's carpets cleaned." Things like that. Just
Right.
small things that one of the tenants, we knew she was having a baby. We said, "Hey, how can we make it more comfortable for a transition for you to have the baby? What can we do as landlords?" And she told us, "Hey, this is what I want." She wanted 4 new can lights, and we put them in.
That's awesome.
Super small things, but
But it sounds like that's you being a very attentive landlord, which makes for great experiences, which is why turnover is so low.
yeah.
So obviously there's good and the bad.
Yes.
So what in that process, what are some of the things that I would say surprised you the most about being a landlord?
Oh man, there were really good things about being a landlord. Like for one, I didn't realize everyone had told me. I come from a real estate family as far as our investing. Like my grandparents were investors, my parents were investors. I'm the youngest of 7. All of my older brothers were investors, and so I thought, hey, I thought it was going to be easy, and it actually is a lot easier than like what people think it is. I've never gotten a phone call in the middle of the night. I've never taken a phone call in the middle of the night. I think the hard things are just unexpected. Like just this last summer, we had a $5,000 bill to dig up the side yard in the 5-plex because there was a water leak that had been happening for years. We also there's a basement unit in that complex, and we have replaced that unit twice this year because it flooded. And one was because of a city line breaking and flooding it, and then the other one, so it was covered by the city, and then the other one we covered.
Wowie.
Yeah.
So just some unexpected fun things. But would you find that those kind of instances where it's like, oh my gosh, I want to like rip my hair out.
Yeah.
How would you gauge those on a sense of normality? Like, is it a fairly normal thing that you should be planning for, or is it kind of an anomaly?
Yeah, we don't have those occurrences happen very often. Like that one was our first one I've been a landlord since 2016, 2017, and that was our first major expense. And that was a major, major expense, but we were totally prepared for it. We weren't worried about it at all. It was just kind of a few phone calls to some people saying, okay, how do we take care of the tenant first? And then we'll take care of ourselves. And so let's take care of the tenant. We got them out of their lease. We found a different landlord that we connected with, got them into a new place, and then we worked on it for about a month, getting it renovated.
It's awesome.
Imagine the world if everyone was as good as Nick Strong. If every landlord was like Nick Strong, the world would be a better place.
We kept pretty calm. So
what would your number one tip be for a self-managing landlord who's going to house hack for the first time and they've never been a landlord before?
just learn everything you can, honestly. And you can't prepare. It's kind of like becoming a parent, right? Like I've got 3 little boys, and before I had kids, it's like you just can't read the book and know how to parent. And so that's how landlording is too. You kind of just get thrown into it and you grow into it. And so don't be nervous about it. You can go into it confidently and say, hey, who are my mentors? Who are the people I can rely on? And which resources can I go to when something does happen? If you can join a community of like-minded people, that's really, really helpful.
So I have a follow-up question for that then, because obviously we work with a lot of people who they're either buying their first, second properties, and they're still fairly new to the whole landlord and property investment things. And their minds tend to play tricks on them of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to deal with an eviction on this property. I just know it. Or, oh man, my sewer line's going to have to be replaced. And that's another 10, 15 grand or something, something crazy, right? So what would you tell someone who is, how do I put it? How do I put this question?
Paranoid?
Yeah, essentially, like somebody who they're not necessarily taking the action like you said, and they're just sitting with analysis paralysis. They're like, oh, what if all of these things go wrong? It's like your analogy with a new parent. Like, of course, when you have a baby, you're never going to know everything. You just have to do it. So how would you convey that message to a newer home buyer or investor?
I consider my wife in that category. My wife was super nervous. She did not come from a real estate family. They never had rentals. She just didn't grow up in that world. I did. I grew up in that world. And so when my wife found out that this was my plan, she had lots of reservations because it was like, man, what if something goes wrong? And now over a decade later, right, it does not impact her life like at all. It's never impacted her quality of life. So just taking the first step and saying, let's just do it. Because you can analyze only for so long, but until you actually take the step and do the action, you're not actually going to know what it's like. And so just go and take the first step, or go and team up with someone and say, hey, what was that experience like? How did you handle that specific thing? Like, this podcast is perfect for people looking for a source of information, right? Because they're getting exposure to a whole bunch of people that have done it before. I think that's honestly probably the best help that any newbie or rookie can have.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I feel like house hacking is actually the easiest way you could learn it.
Yeah.
Because you're just, you live right freaking there. And you're just managing your own property.
And to that point, like, if you do it with new construction, look, new construction isn't going to go bad for 10 years, 15 years. I mean, you have deferred maintenance on a new construction product. So it's like, man, this is like a home run, no brainer. Go ahead and do it. Like, our townhouse was practically new when we bought it. And we haven't had, I fixed the garbage disposal last year. And that's about it. That's the only maintenance we've really done.
Jeez, how did you budget for that?
6 years worth of rent.
I think it was $120. And
So it's basically T-ball. Like, they're set up for success. And what a lot of people worry about is maintenance. Yeah. But with a brand new build, in addition to the warranties, like, the probability of anything going wrong is so low. Yeah. There's also insurance. Yep. And just one of the calls I want to make. So one thing that we love doing with our platform is when we help people buy a home, like a Fieldstone home with an EDU, is we give them 12 months of post-purchase support. So that community, the go-to person for all the what ifs, like, they have access to all that in addition to training. So all those landlord fears, we dispel a lot of those myths and then set them up for success. And then they're completely self-sufficient.
Yeah. See, that's awesome. Just having the resource. I think that's the scariest part for people is, hey, what do I do if I get into this situation? Well, having a community solves that problem.
100%. Because all you have to do is you have to post a question or ask something someone, and it's almost guaranteed that one of the other people have had a very similar experience, and this is why I love this part of real estate, is like the investing part, is because hardly any, if anything at all, is actually brand new territory.
That's right.
Like, somebody has done it in the past, which means answers already exist. Yep. You just have to find the people that have the answers, and it's just like the path is already, for more or less, it's already there. Yeah. You just have to walk it. Like, you just have to do it.
Yep. In 2025, it has never been easier to become a landlord. It has never. I can't name a time in history when it's been easier to be a landlord.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Funny enough, like, literally 30 minutes ago, I had one of my landlord clients reach out to me, and he's just like, hey, my dryer busted. It's 7 years old. Should I pay $430 to fix it, or should I replace it? And the answer is, because I've dealt with this hundreds of times, is just replace the dang thing.
Yep.
It usually costs like 50 to 75% of a brand new dryer than to fix a 7-year-old dryer.
That's right.
And a lot of people just make those simple mistakes. But again, like worst case scenario, he's out $430 and has a semi-functional dryer. But like stuff like that, if you just have a mentor to walk you through it, you save way more time and money than kind of winging it on your own.
I was going to say, how great is it for him to be able to call you and just say, Joel, how can I deal with this?
It was a 2.5-minute voice memo because he said it was too long for a text.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I listened to the whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's nice. I love being able, we love being able to answer those kinds of questions because, sadly, there's not a lot of go-to resources for first-time landlords that want to self-manage.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems we are solving with our platform.
Which is awesome. Like my wife she is one of those people that just like, man, she has analysis paralysis. She's a worrier. And so it would be perfect for someone like her with those types of maybe hesitations or reservations. Platform's perfect.
I also, because yes, it is meant for like a worrier, but the way that I have always been taught is when you're in business or you're doing hobbies or whatever it is, there's something to be said that if you're really good at something, you do it. But if it's something that's totally out of your wheelhouse, have somebody who that's their specialty take care of that. And because in that sense, it's like if you were to go build a car and you are, expert at like body work, doesn't mean you're an expert on engine. So like you send it to a mechanic, they can do all of that, and then when it gets back to you, you can do your thing. It's kind of the similar thing with what this is if you're a first-time homeowner or landlord, you typically have a profession or a career that it takes a lot of your time.
Yes.
It's a lot of effort. And a lot of people, it's just straight up easier for them to just not have to learn how to be a landlord. So a lot of people just kick it down the road, or they make these excuses of like, oh, it's just not a good time. So rather than having that perpetually kicked down the road, we just kind of, this is our specialty. We let them have all of the focus that they need to on like what's actually making them money and moving their life forward.
Yeah.
And we're just here to help make it super easy so they just don't even have to think about it.
That's awesome.
But I want to hit on something that you mentioned a little bit ago about how now is probably like the best time, easiest time to be a landlord is 2025. Can you expand on that? I'd love to hear your point.
Yeah. I just think, for instance, you guys have made it so easy for people with no experience, no knowledge. If you have zero knowledge in real estate, you guys have made it really easy to come in and say, okay, where do I start? Meaning if you had someone that just had nothing and they just landed on your podcast, a very first step, you guys have given them the steps on how to do it. And so there's just so much information in 2025. I mean, you could probably chat GPT it or something. Meaning there's just a ton of information out there to help set you up for success as a landlord.
Mm-hmm. And when people search chat GPT,
Yeah.
who's going to come up? We are.
Yes.
That's the goal, at least. We'll see what happens.
No, I love that. Yeah, I think it's just easy. You've never had more information at your fingertips. There's never been a better time to do it. Like back in my great-grandparents' day, because they were also real estate investors, it was just for kind of like the top elite, right, who really knew how to do it. And now everyone can do it. Really, everyone can do it.
Yeah. So one other follow-up question I have, because we get this every day. Like every person we talk to, this is always a topic of conversation. So coming from somebody who has quite a extensive, I would say, pedigree of real estate investing, experience, you've seen all kinds of markets, your family has seen all kinds of scenarios. 2025's market, how would you classify it? Is it a good market? Is it a bad market? What's your take on what we're seeing right now?
Yeah. Whenever I get this question, I say, it is whatever you want it to be. And
love that.
Yeah. Meaning it is whatever you want to be. I give a lot of people this story. My older brother, he bought a house in 2007. And then in 2008 and 2009, the market crashed. It was the worst time to buy a house. Homes were expensive. He held on to that house for 10 years and he was fine. Meaning everyone was concerned about was, hey, the house is no longer worth. We owe more on the house than it's worth. But if you had just waited, you would have been totally fine. The people that got in trouble were the people that sold and panicked. So if you can just temper your emotions, it's going to be okay. Real estate over time, over like a historical period, you will be fine. I think there's only been a handful of years where real estate has not increased in value overall in the United States. And they were consecutive years. And I think it was 2008, 2009, 2010.
It was,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And outside of that, so if you're a data-driven person, outside of that, you have a really good shot at it. So just don't, we don't make emotion-based like decisions. We try not to. We try not to panic. And that's what I think that's kind of contributed to our success is, hey, just take a minute to breathe and let it ride.
Honestly, I love that you say that because that's exactly how I actually address it. Is
Oh,
I
you
say,
do? Okay.
Let's say you bought a house in 2007. Like
Yep.
that's word for word what I use, because if you did buy it in 2007, the market continued to go down, and about 2011 it kind of bottomed out, and then it started raising back up, and about 2015 we were already back to where we were, and then we went on thriving.
Yeah. I mean, had you bought the house in 2007 and if you own it today, you're sitting pretty.
Oh,
like
100%.
you're stoked about it.
I also tell people it's not like you're day trading real estate.
Yeah.
Like they think that the second something happens in the market, oh, it's a crappy market, I got to sell it. Oh, I got to get rid of it. Or, oh, I have to completely change strategies now because something happened out of my control. But we see it in crypto markets and stock markets.
Yeah.
Like once tariffs were announced and everything started
Yes.
tanking, people were selling left and right.
Yep.
But people who knew what were going on, they were plowing money right into it. And now we're recovered.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm just saying that because I went from negative 20 on my crypto to now I'm at 10%. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm getting some back.
Real estate
XRP.
is not Bitcoin.
For real.
It's interesting because we're so reactionary and we don't have to be.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to temper that. And I think the second thing is when you look at it holistically, as long as you can wait, just wait on the house. But a lot of people ask, oh man, I wish I would have bought a house 10 years ago. I wish I would have bought a house 5 years ago.
Don't
I
we all?
should have. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But if you don't buy that house today, you'll never be able to say that, or you'll always have to say that tomorrow, right? And so you kind of have to start somewhere. And in the current market, hey, there are pros in the current market. Builders are coming out with crazy incentives. Go and buy something. It's easy for me to say that, but go and buy something because with the ADU, it makes it super affordable.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is, as far as getting into your first place, just buy something that you can afford and then start building on that. So there's a foundation. Just build on your foundation.
Okay. Awesome. Well, to finish up here, just one thought I had is I find that a lot of people discount our encouragement to buy just because we're real estate agents.
Yeah.
But to that, all I have to say is look at the data, and that will speak for itself. So, yeah, Nick Strong, Fieldstone Homes. Any last call-out highlights you want to say on the mic?
I think the only thing I'll say is I've never met, and I'd be super interested to see if you two have ever met a real estate investor that said, I should have sold that property. The only people I meet are people that said, I wish I would not have sold that property. And so if you're looking at it in a timeline, I've only met people that have said, I wish I would have held on to that. Have you guys ever met someone?
I was going to say, I have like a 30-second blip on that.
Okay.
So I actually met someone where they did say that.
Oh, man.
But no. Trust me, you'll like this part. Throughout that conversation, though, they were saying, oh, I just had to dump all these repairs into it, and it cost me a ton of money. And then they sat there and they're like, but I haven't had a problem with that property for like 5 years.
See?
And it's gone way up in value. So like halfway through the conversation, they're like, oh, I should have sold that. And then they're like, no, that's actually a pretty good move.
Yeah.
So like to your credit, even people who've said that I've heard of, they've talked themselves out of it and they're like, oh no, that was smart. That was a good move.
Okay.
So buy a real estate and hold it.
Yep. Buy and hold.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming in, Nick. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
And cut. How do
Now
we
you could
do,
go
Joel?
sell Fieldstone.
Yeah.
Actually,